A terrible ritual is performed in my town. There are strange rules to follow. I just finished my sophomore year of high school. I have serious doubts that I'll ever see my senior year. My town holds a peculiar annual tradition, one that sets us apart from anywhere else. My name is Ethan. I live in a typical small town, apart from this bizarre yearly occurrence, which I will explain soon. My life is otherwise normal. I have regular friends. We play baseball, go to the movies, you get the idea. I'm sharing this story because I believe the world needs to hear about our town's disturbing ritual. The consequences be damned. My school isn't that big. My graduating class is expected to be around 100 students, and tomorrow, at the end of my junior year, all of us will take part in a passage of unpredictable length. It could be a single mile, or it might stretch to 10. Sounds manageable, right? I assure you, it won't be. I can't explain exactly why because even I don't fully understand it. Part of the tradition demands that the victors never share details about what happens. Over time, we've pieced together fragments of information, but for the most part, we are completely in the dark. I've spent countless hours contemplating and dreading what's to come, and now, it's nearly here. So much for a carefree summer. School has ended. As Sarah put it, the final bell has rung, and now I sit in the school parking lot, officially a junior, if I live to see the next year. The passage begins on the last Sunday of June. At the very least, they allow us a couple of weeks to enjoy what might be our last summer. We all find it strange that the passage occurs after our sophomore year instead of during our junior or even senior year. I suspect the event's creators wanted to prevent students from worrying about the passage while also preparing for graduation. Just my theory. Oh, why not just skip it, you might ask? We've been told, very clearly, that's not an option. No explanations. No exceptions. The briefing is scheduled for a week from now. Today, my classmates and I, about 99 others, were given a little more information about what I will now refer to as the final passage. I already knew it was going to be brutal, and I understood that people would die. What I didn't realize was just how terrifying it would be. The board essentially gave us a farewell speech, because even they have no idea how many of us will return. The fundamental rules are as follows. You may bring anything you wish. You are free to run if you choose, but conserving your energy is advised. Be prepared to endure the elements for a week or longer. Time operates differently once the passage begins. We must keep moving, with the only exception being evacuation. We were told there would be no need for sleep. The only physical item they provided us was a small notepad listing the different areas we would traverse. I'll go through them as I experience the passage firsthand. That's all the guidance we received. They will bus us to the starting location, release us, and leave us to our fate. The first to cross the end gate, wherever that may be, will be declared the victor. Survival, they said, is the reward. They also hinted at another possible surprise for the final winner. One last journal entry before I attempt to sleep. I doubt I'll get much rest tonight, because by dawn, the final passage will begin. You may be wondering what I fear most. Truth is, I'm not sure. I'm documenting this, not just because I may not survive, but to ensure there's some record of this for future generations. I don't necessarily oppose the final passage, but I certainly don't understand it. I've spoken with multiple survivors and past victors from my town. To clarify, you can survive without winning. There will be multiple survivors, but only one true victor, as in any race. However, there will also be fatalities. That's what we don't comprehend. What lurks out there? What awaits us in this harrowing final passage? I'll find out soon enough, and hopefully, I'll live to tell the tale. I am taking my phone, wired earbuds, a voice recorder, and even my laptop. Hell, I might be able to upload a podcast while I'm on the move, if I have the chance. The morning is scorching and thick with humidity. My bag is packed. I've stocked up on dehydrated meals, water, MREs, and other supplies. My devices are fully charged, and I have numerous backup batteries in case I need them. I need to stop writing. A massive man is placing black hoods over my classmates. "I'll see you at the starting line." I kneel alongside the others, waiting. The chaperone instructed us not to move or open our eyes until we can no longer hear the bus. I squeeze my eyes shut so tightly that it aches. When my hood is finally yanked off, the sun's intense heat smacks my face. The engines have long since faded. I hear nothing. No voices. No birds. No sounds of nature at all. Slowly, I open my eyes and find myself utterly alone. Surveying my surroundings, I see that my belongings have been neatly placed beside me. But my classmates? Nowhere in sight. Before me lies what looks like a suburban neighborhood. Identical houses line both sides of a single paved road. White picket fences run alongside each home, their uniformity unsettling. This must be the neighborhood, the first destination that marks the beginning of the final passage. Despite the eerie tranquility of this place, it still resembles an ordinary suburban area. But I know that won't last. Cautiously, I begin walking down the street. The air is unnervingly still, no wind, no animals, not even a single sound. I had no idea what to expect, but I certainly didn't anticipate being left in different locations from my classmates. This must be part of the board's strategy, to prevent us from forming alliances. Not that I was planning to team up with anyone, but having some familiar faces nearby would have been comforting. Then again, what good would companionship even do? As I pass house after house, I realize something unsettling. Not only do they all look identical, but inside each one, a family is seated, completely motionless. No one speaks, no one eats, no one even shifts in their chairs. They simply sit at their dinner tables, locked in an unbroken stare with one another. There might be food in front of them, but from this distance, I can't tell. It's a bizarre way to start, but I had prepared myself for anything, so I press on. While scanning the eerie stillness around me, I nearly collide with an elderly woman standing directly in my path. Luckily, some instinct kicked in, making me notice her just in time. I sidestep, offering a polite facial expression, a nod that silently acknowledges her presence without requiring words. Then she speaks. "My son dies here." I swallow hard. "Oh," I manage to stammer. I'm sorry." That's all I can say. The encounter throws me completely off balance. I instinctively increase my pace, desperate to put distance between us, but not wanting to appear outright rude. Something about her seems wrong. Her facial proportions are off, her eyes spaced just slightly too far apart. After about 30 feet, I glance back. She hasn't moved. She's still staring at me. I quickly shift my focus forward and keep walking. As I near the end of this initial phase of the passage, an even stranger sight greets me. The neighborhood's residents have all emerged from their houses. They stand motionless on their lawns, their gazes fixed on me. Their presence sends a chill up my spine. I quicken my pace. A low buzzing sound hums in my head. At first, I think it's something in the air, but it feels internal, reverberating inside my skull. The tree line is coming into view. I'm nearly through this level. The buzzing intensifies. The people watching me seem agitated. I don't know if anyone has ever died in this part of the passage, but I'm certain I won't be one of them. I sprint toward the trees. Before I disappear into the woods, I risk one final glance over my shoulder. The townspeople are pointing at me, their right arms raised in eerie synchronization. Warning me? Guiding me? I don't stop to find out. I'm out of that Norman Rockwell nightmare. Good riddance. Once I step into the dense woods, I slow my pace. I have to keep moving, but I take my time. My mind replays the old woman's words. My son dies here. Not died. Present tense. What does that mean? Does he die repeatedly? Does he perish every single day? I don't want to know. I just need to keep going. The buzzing fades. The trees stand tall around me, casting long shadows. Just minutes ago, the sun was shining brightly, yet now, an unnatural dusk has settled over everything. Overhead, thick pine branches form a canopy, blocking most of the light. The trees are dense, but the forest floor is surprisingly clear. The whole place feels oddly familiar, like I've been here before. The realization hits me, I haven't eaten since this began. But like they warned, time moves differently here. I force myself to down a Cliff Bar, still taking in my surroundings. Then, suddenly, I can't move. A beam of light pierces through the canopy, illuminating something extraordinary. The most magnificent tree I've ever seen stands before me. The Ever Tree. Half of it is lush and vibrant, the other half, gnarled and rotting. It looks completely out of place in this already strange forest. I can feel the energy radiating from it. I want to rest beneath it. Just for a moment. Boom. My eyes snap open, I barely registered that they had closed. I'm still standing, but everything around me has changed. I hear engines roaring. Gunfire. Something is ripping through the trees. Bark and leaves explode around me as rounds are fired in my direction. One word echoes in my mind. Move. I must have lingered too long. The tree, it tried to trap me. I don't even see it anymore. Without hesitation, I pick up the pace. No need to run, but I power walk as fast as I can. Whatever force was watching me seems to back off. Now I know the truth. They are always watching. Guys, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps me develop our community and create better content. This has been my most sobering moment yet. From this point forward, I don't need to admire the scenery. I just need to reach the end gate. Emerging from the woods was a relief. I now realize that the initial phases were just a prelude, a mere taste of what's ahead. Finally, I see daylight again. Stepping out of the dense trees, I find myself in yet another suburban-like setting. As I walk along the cracked sidewalk, I notice the area is lifeless, abandoned houses, scattered debris, remnants of a forgotten place. And this, as Shel Silverstein once wrote, is where the sidewalk ends. A deep sense of unease washes over me. Saying I felt unsettled would be an understatement. The concrete path I had been following stops abruptly. The entire scene is so unnerving that I hadn't even noticed the pavement gradually vanishing beneath me. I freeze at the very edge, peering down into what looks like a 10-story drop. I spin around in a panic. There's nowhere else to go. It's as if I'm trapped, a game piece stranded on a Monopoly board, standing at the edge of an abyss with no safe move to make. My thoughts spiral. How did I end up here? Why are we forced to go through this? Are there others like me in different places? I don't want to be here. I should just step forward. Let it be over. Just take one step. Hello. The voice jolts me. I haven't heard another person this entire time. I take stock of my state, exhausted, hungry, my body aching with every movement. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. Who's there? I call out, my voice hoarse. If someone's here, say something. I can't keep going. I tried, but I can't. I'm done. A strange calm washes over me as I give in. The fall feels inevitable. I let go. When I hit the ground, I wake up. My hands dart over my body, expecting wounds, broken bones, something. But there's nothing. I don't feel good, but I'm alive. Who are you? I yell into the void. Silence. Ethan is still standing. I've made it through another stage. After trudging what feels like another 4 or 5 miles, I come across Ashwood Avenue. I may be exhausted, but I'm still determined to finish. If I make it through, I'll still walk across that graduation stage. This phase requires me to locate something called the sunken house. No one explained what it was, only that I would recognize it when I saw it. The real issue now is the temperature is dropping rapidly. My home climate is typically dry and hot, summertime temps easily hitting the upper 80s or 90s. I have friends from colder regions who grew up dealing with brutal winters, but nothing could have prepared me for this sudden freeze. The temperature must be close to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't even know if it's morning or night anymore. Time is impossible to track. Using every bit of my gear to keep warm, I finally spot the sunken house. It blends in almost too well among the other homes. Most of the neighborhood is either abandoned or strangely well kept despite being lifeless. But this house, this one is different. 2 golden lion statues guard the entrance. Half of the structure is above ground, the other half swallowed by the earth. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I simply stand there, whispering a quiet prayer. I'm delirious. I've found the markers. I've survived up to this point. The sunken house acted as a checkpoint, slingshotting me into the next part of this nightmare. But how many of my classmates are still alive? I know some are gone. I'd be naive to think otherwise. I'm just waiting for my turn. I made it through the eerie neighborhood. I pushed through the terrifying forest and faced the ever tree. I escaped that bizarre, disappearing sidewalk. But there's no turning back now. I just have to keep going. I am beyond drained. My feet ache. My legs are on fire. My mind is still alert, but maybe that's the worst part. I am painfully aware of everything. I don't even have the luxury of being numb to the horror anymore. I am so tired. Then, I stumble upon something much worse. It's simply labeled the homes. 1 second I'm outside, and in the next, I am inside a long, dimly lit hallway. The walls are lined with doorways, and the ceiling sags with the weight of time. It resembles a rundown retirement home, flickering lights, water dripping from the ceiling, the distinct, sickly scent of age and decay. Help me! The voice nearly knocks me off balance. I wasn't expecting it. Who's there? I shout into the darkness. Help me! Hey! Over here! It's closer now. Footsteps, quiet, but definitely approaching. The soft shuffle grows louder. Faster. Every ounce of strength I have left is used to bolt forward. The hallway seems to stretch, growing longer the further I run. Panic sets in, suffocating me. From the corner of my vision, I see them. Figures stepping out of their rooms. All I can hear now is breathing. And it isn't mine. I begged and pleaded to escape. My legs burned as if they were engulfed in flames. I truly doubted I had the strength to keep going. I squeezed my eyes shut and forced myself forward. When I opened them again, I was sprawled on the ground. Scrambling to my feet as fast as possible, knowing that stopping meant instant death, I realized I had made it outside the homes. Thank God. The foul odor still lingered, but somehow, I had survived. Glancing over my shoulder one last time, I was met with the most unsettling sight yet, small, shadowy figures with glowing red eyes watching me from the windows. This passage was getting much more intense. Leaving the homes, the place where I was certain most of my classmates would meet their fate, I pressed forward. The next destination came into view, the Black Spire Tower. It looked like something from a medieval legend, a towering structure reaching high into the clouds. At the briefing, they had only given us the name of this level, and I had no clue what to expect. Now that I was here, staring at it, I had to wonder, what was I supposed to do? Would I have to climb? Was I supposed to search for something inside? A trapped princess, perhaps? The scent of food hit me. The aroma of pastries, sizzling steak, and roasted chicken drifted through the air. There had to be a feast inside. A whisper floated through the wind. Come inside the tower. We know you are exhausted. Everything is waiting for you. That sounded tempting, dangerously tempting. I had never felt this level of hunger before. That Cliff Bar I ate earlier felt like it had been consumed in another lifetime. Standing at the base of the massive tower, I couldn't deny its breathtaking presence. Up close, the sheer size of it was overwhelming. The stone walls stretched endlessly toward the sky. Slowly, the drawbridge began to lower, releasing an even stronger wave of the feast's irresistible aroma. A golden sign stood near the entrance, displaying nothing but an upward arrow. I understood, I was meant to climb. But as I took a single step forward, the illusion shattered. Wait, I thought. If I enter this tower, how do I escape? I can't stop moving. If I step inside, I might never get out. Nice try, tower. Nice try, passage. The last few stages had been increasingly grueling. That could only mean one thing: the end was near. As I trudged across an open field, something new appeared in the distance: streamers, colorful balloons, tables covered with what I prayed was real food. The overwhelming relief of this nightmare nearing its end was almost too much to process. I could already imagine myself returning to the real world. As I drew closer, I began making out faces: teachers from school, older students who must have completed the ritual in previous years. There were even bleachers set up, where the town's residents sat, waiting. I estimated around 200 people in total, but I had no idea where here actually was. One thing stood out: the absence of my classmates. Had I really been the first to finish? Or was I the only one left? Our victor! Mr. Thompson's voice rang out. The crowd erupted into applause. You have conquered the passage. Now, take a seat, young man. You've earned it. I wasn't sure if sitting down would bring any relief, but my body gave in anyway. I collapsed onto the ground. For the first time in what felt like forever, I was still. My entire body burned, as if every muscle was on fire. Minutes later, the first of my classmates began to stumble toward the end gate. We exchanged weak, knowing smiles. Silent nods of acknowledgement. The adults must have been monitoring all 100 or so of us. In total, 75 had survived, a record, apparently. We were led to a podium behind a long table. A sheet covered something beneath it. Something we weren't prepared for. What happened next is something that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Being declared the victor, they said, was an incredible honor. I was told I would be remembered as a legend in our town, and any college I chose to attend would be fully funded. Remember when I mentioned that the victor receives an additional reward? Mr. Thompson reached forward and pulled away the sheet from the table, revealing a handgun. You have conquered the final passage, he announced. Now, as an added privilege, you get to take the life of one of your fellow classmates. My vision swam, my body felt weak. We understand this might be overwhelming. Everyone reacts this way. However, this is both a reward and a release. Additionally, refusing is not an option. If you decline, the responsibility passes to the runner-up, and you will be eliminated instead. And so it continues. This also ensures that no one speaks of our sacred tradition. You now have blood on your hands, just like the rest of us. His smile was void of warmth. I couldn't tell if this was some kind of twisted test or if they truly expected me to go through with it. One look at the townspeople confirmed the truth. I reached for the gun, the icy weight settling in my palm. I stared at it, unable to move. And just like that, it was over. I felt nothing, no rage, no sorrow. Just a desperate need to leave this nightmare behind. A pair of men in dark suits swiftly and silently cleaned up the scene. The crowd offered a light, reserved applause. My classmates stood still, unblinking. One by one, the spectators dispersed. As they faded into the distance, the last thing I remember was everything turning black. When I woke up, I had no idea how much time had passed. Days? Weeks? I was back in my own bed, the summer sun shining through my window. Outside, the world continued on as if nothing had ever happened. Hello, summer vacation. Time to prepare for my junior year. Friends, share your impressions of the story in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to get more content like this.